Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And today we're talking about the Dvořák Symphonies, all of them, and other orchestral works too, actually. This box. It's the Dvořák Symphony Cycle with the Czech Philharmonic under Václav Neumann, the first stereo cycle. There was a remake, a digital remake, that isn't quite as good, particularly sonically. This is wonderful stereo, analog, gorgeous, rich, full sound from the Rudolfinum in Prague, which is kind of like an aircraft hangar. It has a lot of reverb, but they tame it here well. And oh, these performances are just gorgeous. Now, you don't just get the symphonies. You get the concert overtures in Nature's Realm, Carnival, and Othello. And you also get the four big symphonic poems, the Water Goblin, the Noonday Witch, the Golden Spinning Wheel, and the Wild Dove. All of the performances are excellent. There are no weak links here. But here's the thing, and this is why I mention this again. You know, sometimes I mention recordings more than once. In fact, I do that quite often. And then you all jump in and said, well, you mentioned that 3 years ago in video number 2364. Well, yes, I know that. I do that, and I do it for a reason. The reason is this. The classical record industry, in talking about it, we have to balance. We have to balance the insane quantity of stuff that's out there, and the fact that we could talk about something and never repeat for probably the next 2,000 years, with the fact that certain recordings are really great and deserve to be recognized. And if we just mention them once and then move on, no one will ever know what they are. It's really a problem. I mean, I think about it a lot, trying to find a balance between promoting the things that really are great and deserve to be promoted, while at the same time doing justice to the fantastical variety of things, not just in repertoire, but in, of course, performances of the standards and all that stuff, multiple performances of the same works. I want to try and do it all. And it's never going to be perfect. It really isn't. And this is one of those sets. The Dvořák Symphonies traditionally were not recognized, first of all, as a group. Everyone did 7, 8, and 9. All the rest were supposedly not as good. Well, the truth is that 5 and 6 are every bit as good as 7, 8, and 9. I think 3 should be on the list as well. It's glorious. And the others all have wonderful things. They may have some amiable faults that you can point to, but they're melodically gorgeous and wonderful to listen to. And so not everything is equally fabulous. Not all of Beethoven's symphonies are equally fabulous. I mean, if you want to do them all, make them all equally fabulous, just write a few, like Brahms did, only 4 of them. There we go. Yeah, 4. 4 of them. Do something very minimal. But if you're going to do more than, a small handful, people are going to decide some are better than others. Some will be better than others. So what? It isn't news, that they're not all equally fabulous, but they are all fabulous. That's the point, and they're wonderful to listen to. And they were not promoted in the Czech lands with any sort of vigor, at least internationally. This set, obviously, was available in Czechoslovakia. It was then Czechoslovakia. And so was the digital cycle, which was more readily available internationally, because by then, Suupraphon had international distribution, which retired this, which was the better of the two. And so we didn't get to hear it. What we were hearing was the Kubelik set, the Kertész set, Rovitsky to a certain extent. I mean, it was also a little, harder to get, but those were the cycles. And then there were later, more modern cycles. Peszek did one and other people did them. And so it was very, very difficult to go back to the original analog Czech Phil, Václav Neumann, Dvořák Symphony Cycle. But if you want to hear Dvořák done in a perfectly idiomatic, wonderful way by his hometown team, by the Czech Philharmonic, which you really should hear because they're such a great orchestra, and they were at the top of their game here. This is the immediate post-Ancherl period, and they were absolutely in fantastic form, and the engineers were doing their best work, and it's an extraordinary Dvořák cycle, and it has that patina of authenticity. Now, I'm not into, nationalism, as you know, and I don't believe in birthright authority in recordings of various composers. I really don't, because it can all be taught, it can all be learned. It's all about the immediate identification of the performers with the composer's idiom, and it can happen anywhere. So with that said, I do believe that there is a value in hearing the traditional approach to the music. For example, I'll give you an example. The finale of the Eighth Symphony. Usually the way it's played is that the scherzo bit, dum bum ba ba bum ba dum ba bum ba dum ba bum ba 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 with the horns trilling and all that, is done very quickly, especially the coda, especially at the end of the finale. The traditional way to play it in the Czech lands is not to do it that way. It's not to play it with that great accelerando. Frankly, I prefer it with the great accelerando. I like the way it's done elsewhere. I think it's better, but that's okay. We're talking about, some people may not, and the fact is that there is a tradition of performance that goes a certain way, and it's worth hearing, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's not bad. It's just different. It's also true that exposition repeats in like the Sixth and the New World Symphony are never taken. Traditionally, were never taken. They were taken in these recorded cycles by various people. Rovitsky, Kertész, they all take all the repeats. Kubelik didn't. He did the Czech tradition because, of course, he was Czech, but he didn't have the Czech orchestra to do it with. Of course, he had the Berlin Philharmonic, which wasn't exactly shabby. So that was a whole nother issue there. So there are things that happen in these performances. Neumann was always fabulous at the Dvořák Seventh. That's one that gets messed up in so many other cycles. I'm not sure why, but he does a fabulous seventh with a pulverizing climax of the first movement. There are small textual emendations here and there that seem to be part of the Czech performance tradition. They are all worth hearing in these glowingly beautiful performances of the Dvořák symphonies. So this is the purple Suupraphon box, which you really ought to have if you haven't gotten it yet. You also have, the symphonic variations are also on here, which is terrific as well. So it's just great. All the other orchestral stuff is in a different box. And I was so happy to see that Suupraphon, when they were putting together their Dvořák edition, revived this, one of the truly great Dvořák cycles, and the most authentic of all. It really is. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.